It was one of those evenings when the sun melted into gold across the sky, and life felt quiet enough to hear your own thoughts. Daniel wiped the sweat off his brow, resting his worn-out hands on the handle of his toolbox. He had just returned from another long day at the mechanic shop, another day of grease, noise, and the same tired faces. Life hadn't been kind to him lately. After losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago and his job soon after, he had been trying to piece together a life that felt too heavy to carry alone. His small rented house stood beside Mrs. Ellen's, a woman in her late 60s, gentle in her speech but alone in her world. She had lost her husband decades ago, and her children lived far away, too busy to visit. Despite her loneliness, she always greeted Daniel with a warm smile whenever he passed by. That day, as Daniel parked his old truck, he heard her soft voice call out from her yard. "Daniel, dear, could you help me with my gate? It's been squeaking all week." He smiled wearily, picking up his tools again. "Of course, Mrs. Ellen. Let me take a look." The gate was rusted, its hinges nearly torn apart. As he worked, the evening breeze carried the smell of freshly cut grass and the distant laughter of children playing down the street, sounds that once belonged to his life, too. His mind wandered back to his late wife, the way she used to wait on the porch with a glass of lemonade, and that smile that made every hardship worth it. As he tightened the last screw, Mrs. Ellen stood behind him, holding 2 cups of tea. Her eyes glistened in the amber light, filled with gratitude. "You always help everyone around here, Daniel," she said softly. "You never ask for anything in return. But people like you deserve a little extra reward." Daniel smiled faintly, trying to hide the ache in his chest. "You don't have to, ma'am. I'm just glad to help." But she insisted, pressing a small envelope into his hand. "For all the times you've been there when no one else was." He opened it later that night, expecting a small note or a thank you card. Instead, there were a few $100s, more than he had seen in weeks. Tears welled in his eyes. He wanted to return it, but something inside him stopped. It wasn't about the money, it was the gesture, the recognition of his silent struggles that no one else seemed to notice. For the first time in months, Daniel felt seen. The next morning, Daniel went to return the envelope. He knocked on Mrs. Ellen's door, but no one answered. The curtains were drawn, and her garden, usually bright with flowers, seemed unusually still. Concerned, he pushed the gate open, the same one he had fixed just the night before, and stepped inside. He found her sitting on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, pale and weak. "I didn't mean to worry you," she whispered with a faint smile. "I just didn't feel too well today." He helped her inside and called for a doctor. Later, he learned that Mrs. Ellen had been silently battling a heart condition for months. She never mentioned it to anyone because she didn't want pity, she just wanted company. As the days went by, Daniel began visiting her regularly, bringing her groceries, repairing small things around the house, and sometimes just sitting beside her as she told stories about her youth, her husband, her dreams, and the years that passed too quickly. One evening, as the rain tapped gently against the windows, she said something that stayed with him forever. "Daniel, sometimes the greatest rewards in life aren't money or gifts. They're the hearts you mend without realizing it. You fixed my gate, but more than that, you opened a door I'd long closed, the feeling of being cared for again." Her words sank deep into Daniel's soul. When she passed away a few weeks later, he found another envelope waiting for him, the same handwriting, the same warmth. Inside, there was a small letter. "You reminded me that kindness still exists in this world. I've left something for you, my house. Keep it, not as a gift, but as a reminder that goodness always finds its way home." Tears streamed down his face as he read it again and again. That broken gate, which once symbolized rust and neglect, had become the start of a new chapter in his life. He renovated her old house, turning it into a small community workshop where he taught neighborhood kids how to fix things, not just gates or engines, but life itself. Years later, when people asked him how it all began, he would smile and say, "It started with a broken gate and a woman who believed a man like me deserved a little extra reward." Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness can change the course of a life. Fixing a broken gate may seem ordinary, but when done with love, it can open doors to healing hearts, restoring hope, and rebuilding faith in humanity. Because the true reward isn't what we receive, it's what we give that makes us whole again.